Question, show of hands, how many of you or how many of your companies are running A/B tests? Good. Too bad that you're screwing them up. Success of a testing program can be measured in two things. How many tests you're running, and what's the percentage of tests that end up winning, right? Add here average impact per successful experiment and average sample size, and you get an idea of business impact. So unfortunately, what's happening with you guys is that you're running a bunch of tests, maybe tens or hundreds of tests a year, and you get wins, 20%, 30%, 50%. But then you look at your bank account, it's not 50% bigger, it's not 20% bigger. Actually, there's no difference. Conversion rates is still the same. What's up? Optimizely told me that I'm winning. Of course, testing tools like Optimizely, VWO, and so on make testing so easy that any idiot can run tests, and they do. Another problem that you might have is that you're running all these tests, but nothing is winning. You try this, you try that, and then, man, this testing sucks, right? Because that leads me to mistake number one. You're testing stupid shit that makes no difference. How do most people come up with stuff to test? Hey, Joe, what should we test next? I don't know, buttons? Okay, let's test buttons. Yeah, that's the reality. If you're testing stupid ideas your colleague suggested or something you read off a blog post, of course it's not going to win. That's the key reason your tests are failing, because you're testing stupid shit. The most important thing about conversion optimization is figuring out what actually matters. So mistake number two, your tests are not based on data, because that's how you figure out what actually matters. And I mean, we have to be data-driven, but what does data-driven mean? It's not like you open up Google Analytics and data says, hey, do this. No. I mean, it's all actually people-driven, right? We have to go into the data, interpret the data, pull insights out of the data. And it's a skill that all of us need to develop. It's a skill, right? So you need to figure out what the actual problems and issues with your site, what's actually holding users back. And there are many ways to do that. I mean, how much data do we need? We don't need too much data, because that causes analysis paralysis. So we need the right amount of data. And so imagine, I want to cross the road, there's cars here. So I could have perfect information, like shapes of the tree leaves and the humidity of the air and eye color of person next to me. But what actually matters is there a car coming and how fast? Same with your website. You could have all this data, but actually there are certain types of data that actually matter. So I'm suggesting you use this WMD framework. You can use whatever other one you want. There's a link on this slide that explains this framework in detail. But you do user testing, qualitative research, your web analytics data, where the leaks are, what is the problem, what's holding people back, and that all feeds into a pool of insights, issues, that you know what actually is wrong with your website, so you can come up with a hypothesis that actually has a chance of winning. Next mistake is that you think you know what will work. We're all confident entrepreneurs in here, right? Well, we'll just implement this right away. Or, don't test this, this never works. I mean, if we would know what works, we'd all be billionaires, right? Nobody knows. Nobody has the crystal ball. The guy who says that he knows what works is full of shit. I mean, I've been doing this optimization stuff for a really long time. So if I have to predict, based on all these different variations of a website, which one is going to win, I get it right maybe 60, 70% of the time. That's slightly better than flipping a coin. Not good enough. Nobody knows what's going to work. Reason number 4 why your tests suck is that you end your tests too early. Number 1 sin of testing. This is the reason why your optimizer says, hey, 50% uplift in revenue, and you're actually not seeing any change, because you didn't have enough sample size. You end your test when the testing tool says, yes, reach 95% statistical significance. Of course, you don't maybe know that statistical significance is not a stopping rule of a test. That's not when you stop a test. 2 other conditions have to be met before you even look at it. It's a meaningless number until you have enough sample size, enough people part of your experiment. So here's a test I ran. So it's the same test. So first, I ran a test, and it says, 0% chance. The variation 1 has 0% chance of winning. In reverse, that will be that A won by 100% confidence. I'll let the test run for a while, and now variation 1 is winning at 95% confidence. 25% lift, money. I'm making money, hooray. But actually, I mean, if I were an idiot, I would stop the test now. But actually, I mean, this sample size, if you look, it's just 600 visitors per variation, around 100 conversions each. That's not enough. So in order to know when to stop your A/B test, is that you need to calculate in advance how many people need to be part of your experiment. So you can use a sample size calculator, whether Evan Miller's or whatever. There's lots, just Google it, sample size calculator for A/B tests. You put in your existing conversion rate, the minimum uplift you want to be able to detect, and it will tell you how many visitors per test variation you will need in order for us to have confidence in the data. All right, so I personally ignore all A/B tests that have less than 250, 350 conversions per variation. Before that, before you have at least this, it's meaningless. It's meaningless numbers. So your A/B test wrong results. So if you stop a test early, you have false confidence in something that actually is not working. So what if you don't have that much volume? Well, maybe I only have 100 transactions per month or less. Do you still run A/B tests? If you do, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. You shouldn't, because then you end the test early. You have false confidence in an idea. Oh, we should do this because this one actually didn't win because you didn't have enough sample size. So testing does not equal optimization. You can still do optimization. You just can't test it. So you still do the same kind of qualitative, quantitative research. And now all these issues that you identify, all these learnings that you get, now you implement it all at once. All the changes at once. And you hope that the result is a change in your bottom line in the whatever metric you're measuring, something that you can see with your naked eye. So it got like 25, 50% better. Because if it only got 10% better, I mean, that's your normal fluctuation. Your conversion rate is always moving around. It's not a static number. So you need to swing big and change a whole bunch of things at once in order to see a change, positive change. Right. I said that statistical significance is not a stopping rule. Two other conditions have to be met. One is sample size, and two is the duration of your test. If you have a large volume website, like Booking.com, they have a transaction per second. So they could get whatever 50,000 sample size in like 2 hours. Should they end the test in 2 hours? No. Because what we're doing here is we're taking a convenient sample, not a representative sample of our traffic. In order to know whether our experiment is actually working, we need to expose a representative sample of people to that test. So that means we need to include every weekday, weekend, your blog, newsletter, publishing schedule, any external event, maybe payday, if that matters to your business model, phase of the moon, I don't know. So the thing is, in order to run the test accurately, you need to run it for at least 2 business cycles. For most businesses, this is 2 weeks. Might be 4 weeks. 4 weeks is probably better if you want to increase accuracy of your outcome. So here's a test I ran. I was measuring revenue per visitor as an e-commerce site. And you don't see the small numbers, but after 4 weeks, the test ended in no difference, absolutely. And this is 4 variations against control, made no difference. But after the first 7 days, one of the variations is winning huge. The optimizer says revenue per visitor is $14, whereas control is $9. Most people will say, yes, massive uplift, stop the test. And then, it's an imaginary lift, of course. And at 14 days mark again, one of the variations is winning big, control is performing poorly, but let the test run, increase the sample size. This is called regression toward the mean. It always happens. If you're testing stuff that doesn't matter. So, another thing, you need to always test full weeks at a time. If you start your test on a Monday, it needs to end on a Sunday, because the conversion rate per day can vary greatly. So in this case here, the conversion rate of Thursday compared to Saturday is almost 2 times difference. So if you stop the test too early, you skew your results. It's not accurate. So always bear in mind, what day did you start your test? So if you test 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, always bear in mind which day was it. Another one, your testing data is not integrated with third-party analytics. Optimizer says you have a winner. But is Optimizely telling the truth or lying? If you have no other data source, you don't know. Guess I'll trust it. Well, you're a sucker if you do. It might be right, but can we trust it? So any testing thing you can integrate typically with Google Analytics. Send all the data either through events or custom variables through Tag Manager or whatever into your Google Analytics. And actually, A/B testing tools are great for A/B testing, but for analyzing the impact of A/B tests, that's not what you use Optimizer for. That's what you use Google Analytics or equivalent tool for. So now we can see all the people who were exposed to version 1, what's their average transaction, how many products did they buy, whatever metric we want to see inside of Google Analytics, we can now see. We have much richer data. And if Optimizely and Analytics say different things, one of them is lying. Mistake number 9. You give up after your first test fails. So let's say that, we have this hypothesis, and we run a test. Oh, it didn't win. Oh, I guess our hypothesis was wrong. No. Well, let's say that we have qualitative data. People are saying that on your credit card payment page, people are feeling that, I don't feel it's secure. I don't feel that, maybe my credit card details are going to leak or whatever. So you know this. This is now a fact. This is an issue. So now we know we need to increase the perception of security on the page. How many different ways do we have to increase the perception of security on a given page? Infinite possibilities. So if you just test one way and didn't win, it's like buying a lottery ticket and it's like, maybe this one's going to win. And it never does, right? Or sometimes. So you test multiple, if you have confidence in the data that you built your hypothesis on, you try multiple different iterations. Here's a landing page I was working on. It's a big business, trucking jobs. It's a huge, huge industry. It's a million visits a month site. So they want truck drivers to apply for a job. And we do this analysis on the landing page. We figure out, well, they're rather simple people. Half of them use this landing page on their mobile phone. They're distracted and so on and so forth. And the existing landing page doesn't communicate much value. So we build a new one, build a treatment. We communicate value clearly. It's responsive. And looks better, right? And we test it and no difference. What? Gosh, one looks so much better. How come? So it's like, okay, let's go back. So what do we know about the audience? So we know they're simple people. They use it on a mobile phone. Well, okay. So on a mobile phone, maybe have too much text on the page. Maybe we should just simplify the page, remove a bunch of content, and sure enough, 80% uplift just by changing a few things on the page. Had we given up after the first try, oh well. But now, so never give up if you have solid data about something. Iterative testing is the name of the game. Another thing, you're not aware of what other things might screw up or skew your testing results. 3 main things. History effect is something that happens in the external world. For instance, you create a treatment that features your CEO, but then your idiot CEO goes and shoots an elephant. Of course, that treatment will perform poorly. Or instrumentation effect. This is the most common problem, is that you create a treatment. Oh, maybe your website should be like this, but you did not test it with other browsers. Like, you only tested it with the browser you have on your computer. So it has all kinds of cross-browser, cross-device compatibility issues. This is number one reason why tests fail, because you didn't do your QA properly. Or selection effect. This is, you think a portion of your traffic represents all of your traffic. So it's like you run an A/B test. Oh, we don't have enough traffic. Oh, I have an idea. Let's buy a bunch of AdWords traffic so we have enough sample size. And you buy a bunch of AdWords traffic. You test wins by 20%. You roll it out live, and nothing happens. Because AdWords traffic has a different mindset, different incentive, different motivation than the rest of your traffic. So it doesn't apply. So that again, skews your test results. Mistake number 11, you are ignoring small gains. We are all reading blog posts and we see, oh, this guy got a 400% lift here and 500 here, or Sean Ellis got 700. That's what I'm going to shoot for, 700%. Of course, in real world, that rarely happens. It only happens when your site has a severe problem that you are now fixing. Otherwise, you're going to have 5% here, 5% here, 5% here, 5% there. And that's okay. That's okay. That's normal. Because, let's do the math. Compounding interest. If you are able to increase your average conversion rate just by 5% per month, over a year, that's 80% uplift. That's nice. Don't ignore small gains. Mistake number 12. You copy your industry leader, your competitor, A/B tests that you read from a blog post. So if you're copying somebody else's A/B tests, what you're doing is that you're applying somebody else's solution to somebody else's problem on your site. Kind of silly, isn't it? Or, I mean, if success would be as simple as copying Amazon website and expecting Amazon type of results, I mean, if that were true, we wouldn't need to be here, right? Doesn't work. Ignore. Your competitors don't know what the fuck they're doing either. And mistake number 13, you're not running a test all the time at all of your screens. Homepage, features page, pricing page, product page, whatever type of page you have, always has to have a test. If you don't have, it's regret by default. Because that means, oh, I know what's working, so this is the best possible one. No, you have so many better alternatives out there for each of these pages. You could be getting this 5% a month wins all the time and learning something, right? So if you're not running tests, you're just stupid by choice. Read my blog. Thank you very much.